Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An hour of comedy, all with Jim and Marion Jordan and Fibber McGee and Molly. We're going to hear an episode coming up in our next half hour from 1954. But now let's go 7 years ahead of that to January 21st, 1947, as Fibber McGee and Molly and Fibber making big plans for home renovations.
The Johnson Wax Program with Fibber McGee and Molly. The makers of Johnson's Wax products for home and industry present Fibber McGee and Molly with Bill Thompson, Gail Gordon, Arthur Q. Bryan, and me, Harlow Wilcox. The script is by Don Quinn and Phil Leslie. Music by the King's Men and Billy Mills Orchestra. When a man decides to make some alterations on his house, it's usually the little woman who keeps the final result from looking like a Taj Mahal annex to Duffy's Tavern. And here at 79 Wistful Vista, clavicle deep in plans and blueprints, we find Fibber McGee and Molly.
Well, now, let me see. Beaver board with a cross beam here and a strut brace there and some beaver board right here next to the beaver board.
You're certainly eager with that beaver board, dearie.
It's very handy stuff. Without beaver... Hey, who's the best architect in town?
Well, search me, but do we have to have the best for a job like this? Isn't that a little like calling in a surgeon from Johns Hopkins to slice the ham for dinner?
The best is none too good for me, Tootsie. I'm not the type guy that cuts corners. I'm strictly the type guy who goes first class on everything. Hand me the classified record.
Here you are.
Thanks.
I warn you, though, good architects come high.
Yeah? Hey, here's an outfit sounds good. Doric P. Corinthian and Associates. Consulting architect.
They're no good.
How do you know?
Didn't you read what it said? They're consulting architects.
What?
If they were any good themselves, they wouldn't have to consult any architects.
My gosh, I never thought of that. Smart thinking, kiddo.
Thank you.
Now, let me see. How's about Dormer and Franck? They're the guys that designed the Civic Opera Building.
Yes, and the acoustics in there are terrible. Remember the night we went to hear Nelson Eddy and he sounded like Carmen Lombardo?
That was Carmen Lombardo. They gave me the wrong tickets.
Oh.
Now, let me see. My gosh, there's 100 architects in this town. I ought to be able to find one of them.
Come in.
Well, for the... Hi, Wimp.
Hello, Mr. Wimple.
Hello, folks. I hope I'm not intruding.
Not at all, Wimp, old man. Not at all. Just trying to get the name of a good architect.
Say, Mr. Wimple, who designed your house?
Well, I did in a way.
Yeah?
That is, I laid it out the way I wanted it, and then Sweetie Face laid me out and fixed it the way she wanted it. Sweetie Face, that's my big old wife.
Yeah. Yeah, we know. How many rooms, Wimp?
Well, Sweetie Face thinks it's 9, but I know it's 10.
Yeah?
There's a sliding panel off the dining room that leads to a secret room upstairs.
Oh.
That's where I keep my bird books and things.
Your what, Mr. Wimple?
My bird books. This is one of my bird books right here.
Oh.
I'm going bird watching this afternoon. Would you like to join me?
No, thanks, Wimp. I got to get in touch with an architect.
Mr. Wimple.
Yes?
I don't want to seem impertinent, but just what is so fascinating about bird watching? It seems to be a very popular hobby. What do you get out of it?
It's quite simple, Mrs. McGee. Maybe I'm silly, but I'd rather look at a bird through the lens of a camera than the sights of a shotgun.
Oh.
I'd rather hear them singing in a meadow than sizzling in a frying pan.
Oh.
And I happen to think that they're much more beautiful flashing through the trees than lying in the back of a car.
No, I think maybe you got something there, Wimp.
You can watch birds all day long, and you won't see one with a bomb under his wing.
Mm-hmm.
When you've seen a little of their courage and devotion to their homes and families, you can understand why it took men so long to learn to fly. Nature didn't trust them with wings. You can see what happened when they got them.
Well, our wings are used on a lot of errands of mercy, too, Mr. Wimple. There are still more bluebirds than there are vultures.
Oh, I suppose so. You know, I watched a vulture one afternoon out in Wyoming.
No kidding, Wimp. Interesting?
Interesting. It was frightening.
Yeah?
After 2 hours, I discovered he was watching me. Well, I hope you find an architect, Mr. McGee. Goodbye now.
So long.
Bill Thompson played so many good characters on Fibber McGee and Molly. He was, as you just heard, Wallace Wimple. He also was the old-timer. He also was the Horatio K. Boomer, a W.C. Fields con man character. Also Greek-born restaurateur Nick DePopoulos. And he did a number of non-character pieces in some of the shows. So there you go. Fibber McGee and Molly, January 21st, 1947, here on Classic Radio Theater. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me, because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. Normally, when a show on Classic Radio Theater has commercials in it, we tend to remove them, just because we don't want to give business to other folks. However, in Fibber McGee and Molly, we always let Harlow Wilcox, the announcer, let him do his Johnson Wax commercials, just simply because they're generally so doggone funny. Let's get back to Fibber McGee and Molly as he continues his search for an architect. January 21st, 1947.
McGee, did you call Mrs. Carstairs for the name of her architect?
Yeah, and she tried to give me the old razzmatazz, but I know when I'm being kidded.
Why, what do you mean? What'd she say?
She says the guy that always does her stuff is primarily a naval architect. And I says I thought the design was pretty standard on them, and just then we were disconnected. I'll try her again later.
Well, let it go, McGee. For the type of alteration you have in mind, I don't think...
Come in.
Oh, it's Mayor Latrivia. Good day, Your Honor.
Good day, Molly. Hello, McGee.
Hi, Aldred.
Hey, that's quite an impressive batch of blueprints you have there.
Yep.
Designing a governor's mansion for the state of Georgia with revolving doors.
Nope, we want to fix up this house a little, Latriv. Trying to get in touch with a good architect for some advice. You know a good architect, Latriv?
Well, the chap who designed the city hall is a friend of mine, McGee. His name is Girder. Henry Girder.
Oh.
Old classmate of mine.
Oh, isn't that nice? Fraternity brothers, too, I presume?
No, he was a deek and I was a delt.
Well, that was... How was that again, Latriv?
I said Henry was a deek and I was a delt.
Meaning what?
Delta Kappa Epsilon and Delta Tau Delta.
Watch your language in front of my wife, Latrivia. I speak a little Spanish myself, you know.
That was not Spanish, that was Greek. They were Greek fraternities.
My gosh, no kidding. I always thought Latrivia was kind of an Italian name, but with you being so dark-haired and all, I can see now...
Please. I'm not Greek. If you must know...
Well, then, how did you get into a Greek fraternity?
Yeah.
Wasn't that cheating a little, Mr. Mayor?
No, it was not. Out of all my brothers, I don't believe there was a single one who had
Your
even
brothers?
finished.
How many brothers did you have in college?
Well, I think there were about 32 active ones.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? 32 brothers all going to college together.
Boy, oh boy.
I always said that large families...
This was not a large family. When I said brothers, I was using the fraternal term.
Yeah, but you...
My fellow Delts were members of...
Take it easy, Latriv. Give it a chance.
Why, certainly. I think any family that can send 33 brothers to college at the same time. Say, wait a minute. How can that be? The oldest and the youngest would have to be 33 years apart. Unless they were twins and
They were not twins. They weren't my real brothers.
Oh, faking it so you could get a reduced rate on the tuition, eh? Well, by George, if the faculty ever knew that all...
They were not getting a reduced faculty for the Dukes and the Belts.
Would you...
Deeks and Boots. Adults. Look! When I said my brothers, I meant my maternity... My freak fraternity. My Greek fraternity. See, down the bell, Countess! Alpha, Tuda, Boo, Goofa... You were the one who... It was... McGee?
Yes?
Did you know that in certain localities, large blueprints like those are used for ponchos?
Ponchos?
Yes. Yes, the head is thrust through a hole in the middle.
But these haven't got a hole in the middle.
Well, that's easily fixed, McGee. Try this one for size.
Hey, cut that.
It's a little loose around the ears, but then you are too. Good day.
Hey, take this thing off me, will
Sure,
you?
I will.
Thanks. Was he sore about something?
Well, he did seem a little annoyed. Imagine what it was like when all his 32 brothers got to fighting.
Yeah. I think it was great, though, that they all got into the same sorority.
Fraternity, dearie.
Fraternity, what's the difference?
Sororities only take in women.
Oh, yeah? I know a couple of fraternity men that got taken in by sorority women. Hey, what blueprint did Latrivia ruin?
This one here, was it an important one?
Nah, these are plans I made once for a midget auto racer. I just added them to the pile to make it look impressive. Hey, I got to get an architect.
Now, McGee, all this talk about getting an architect is silly.
What do you mean, silly? I like to do business with experts. I got a toothache, I go to a dentist. I need a haircut, I go to a barber. I get foot trouble, I go to a pediatrician.
No, dearie. A pediatrician is a baby doctor.
I don't care if he's a newborn infant, if he can fix my foot. When I need the services of an architect, by George, I'm...
Hello, Molly. Hello, pal. Did I hear you say something about an architect?
Yes, I think you did.
You know of a good one, Mr. Wilcox?
I'll say I do. My brother's an architect. Big Flagstone Wilcox. He's out in Omaha, but I can send him a wire if it's urgent.
No, thanks, Junior. This job isn't that important. I merely want some expert advice on a problem that's come up.
What kind of buildings does your brother design, Mr. Wilcox?
Oh, any kind. He just finished a new public ballroom and a municipal zoo.
Turn out okay, kid?
Better than anybody expected. He got the blueprints mixed up, and the dance hall has dens for wolves, space for stags, and a cage on the bandstand where they can hold that tiger.
Well, he doesn't seem to be exactly the type to do this job for McGee, Mr. Wilcox. All McGee wants is some advice.
Yeah, I could handle the whole thing myself, you understand, but why beat my brains out on something that ain't my racket? Slip a good architect a couple of bucks, I say, and get it done right, I says. That's my motto.
Hey, how about Frank Lloyd Wright?
You mean the Frank Lloyd Wright?
The one that dreamed up that fancy building for Johnson's Wax in Racine? The one they bought so much glass for that Libby no longer owing anybody?
That's the one, the greatest modern architect in the world. He designs buildings that breathe.
Well, we don't... We don't care if this one breathes or not, Mr. Wilcox. In fact, our plumbing snores so loud right now that we don't...
Hey, let me wire Mr. Wright. He'll be tickled to death to give you some advice.
You said give, Junior?
Yes.
Is. That's the one I left out a while ago. I thought Frank was strictly lay 50 grand on the line, and I'll tell you what color bricks you can have, man.
Well, gee whiz, you're connected with the company, aren't you?
In a way.
When Mr. Wright learns that you helped sell that Johnson's wax, that famous boon to housekeepers the world over, the product that makes a house look clean, smell clean, and be clean, the Johnson's wax that sneers at dust, laughs at fingerprints, and smiles at housekeepers.
Yeah, Mr. Wilcox, we're quite familiar with all that.
When Mr. Wright learns that you, too, are interested in Johnson's wax, the polish that protects your belongings against dust and dampness, that guards and beautifies your floors, furniture, woodwork, windowsills, banisters, luggage.
And 100 other uses.
Imagine me being able to put you in touch with the very man who designed the Johnson Wax Administration Building. Why, it's fate, boy. It's kismet.
What's his first name? Now, look, Waxy.
Yes, pal?
You won't have any gasoline left in a minute. I think I hear your motor running.
Oh, my gosh. Thanks, pal. I'll see you later, Molly.
Now, look, McGee, about this architect. For the job you have in mind, why don't you just call...
Please, kiddo, please. You don't understand. If this was just any old house, it wouldn't matter. But this is where you live.
Oh.
My wife.
Oh.
The girl I married. It's why it's got to be perfect. That's why I say let's not cut corners on this project.
Why, dearie, that's beautiful. If you really feel that way about it, go ahead and get the very best architect available. Spare no expense.
Oh, hey, now, wait a minute. Let's not go haywire, Snooky. After all, $5 worth of advice is all I really need. The rest is a cinch.
All right, Pet, you do it your own way.
Okay.
I'm going upstairs and comb my hair. You might straighten up that pile of blueprints if you have time.
Okay, I will. Ah, there goes a good kid. She could have married any one of 10 fellows with more money and brains than I got. But no, she wanted a guy with charm and personality. After all, what's money? Just a lot of cold metal and dirty paper. Gives you a false set of values. And I could use a false set of values right now. When that architect is going to charge me what... Come in.
Hi, mister.
Huh? Oh, hi, Teeny. Shut that door.
Okay. Gee, mister, what you doing with all the blueprints, What you doing with them?
With all the what, sis?
Blueprints?
I think you mean blueprints.
What'd I say?
You said blueprints.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah, it's okay. Being a kid, you're naturally unfamiliar with blueprints. But in answer to your question of recent date, beg to state in reply that I'm planning a few alterations on this house, Teeny. You don't happen to know a good architect, do you?
Well, a good what, mister?
Architect.
What's an architect?
Architect. An architect is... Now, wait a minute. Till I whip up one they can quote in the trade papers. An architect, sis, is a man who spends 15 years studying in Europe, learning how to design marble Renaissance railroad stations, and then spends the rest of his life turning out stucco bungalows with chromium furniture and shake roofs that certainly will if they don't put another $1,000 into it.
I don't get it.
Wasn't very good anyway. I guess the mysteries of building construction are a little intricate for a child of your age. For a child of my age, too, for that matter.
Say, look, mister, if you're going to build another room on this house, how's about doing me a favor? How's about it? How's that?
Well, I doubt if I'll go that far with my alterations, Teeny, but what's the favor?
Well, it isn't really for me, mister. It's for Miss Yeagley.
Who?
Miss Yeagley. She's my teacher.
Oh, she is, eh?
And she...
I said she is, eh?
It's what?
Your teacher.
Who?
Miss Yeagley.
I know it. You don't have to yell at me like that.
Okay. What's the favor you want me to do for Miss Yeagley?
Well, let her rent the new room from you. She can't afford to pay very much, mister, but, she's awful nice.
Isn't Miss Yeagley happy where she's living now?
No.
Well, why doesn't she move to another place? They haven't got her chained to the doorknob, have they?
Mister, sometimes I wonder how you get along. On a teacher's salary, you don't live where you want to. You live where you have to.
Yes, I hear.
I heard her telling my mom about where she lives.
Oh.
She says she has to knock icicles off the faucet to brush her teeth.
Oh, gee, that sounds very uncomfortable.
I bet you it is, I bet you.
Yeah.
You know, Miss Yeagley told my mama that one of these days she's going to kick the principal just for the joy of getting into hot water. Don't forget, mister, if you build an extra room.
Okay. Hey, Molly, Latrivia called. He said he was sending an architect out for consultation.
Well, that was very thoughtful of him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I hope you know exactly what you're going to consult the architect about, though.
You leave it to me, Tootsie. I talk them guys' language. I even got a book here on architecture. You know what a plinth is?
I haven't the slightest idea. How do you spell it?
P-L-I-N-T-H. It's the bottom of a statue, or the lowest basis of masonry.
Well, for goodness sakes, what'll he think of next?
Yeah. I also know what a pediment is. A pediment is... Oh, that must be the architect. Hand me that compass there. I want to look busy with these blueprints. Okay.
Come in.
Now then, if I insert a couple of mullions supported by a strong back, the stress will be perpendicular to the horizontal which...
What the devil is this nonsense?
Doctor, is that you?
Yes.
If you hadn't been so involved putting on that corny act there, you'd have known who it was. He thought you were an architect, Doctor.
Well, he'll never fool an architect with that kind of sheep's dip. Personally, I don't know an Etruscan temple from a Quonset hut, but I could spot Egghead for a phony as far as I could hear him.
Oh, yeah? Well, for your information, Blood Count, I've learned more about architecture just from reading in the last 2 days than you've learned about medicine in your whole murdering career.
Oh, now, McGee, that's a pretty strong statement. Dr. Gamble is a very eminent member of the medical profession, you know.
Thank you. Guilty as charged.
Eminent my clavicle. I wouldn't trust him to remove the warts from a dill pickle. He couldn't diagnose a case of ginger ale if it was dripping down his vest.
Gotta tell you, Doc Gamble, that's Arthur Q. Bryan. And, you gotta know him a little more, because not only did he do this, he was the creator and innovator and inventor of Elmer Fudd. Arthur Q. Bryan, an important part of that ensemble cast of Fibber McGee and Molly. January 21st, 1947. Thank you so much for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Thanks for joining us for an hour of laughs with Fibber McGee and Molly here on Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. We're going to now hear the conclusion of Fibber McGee and Molly from January 21st, 1947, as Doc Gamble says to McGee,
Schnauzerpuss.
Yes?
Your derision arouses me like a deep-sea diver bobbing for apples. If the Smithsonian Institute ever saw your defense mechanism, they'd grab it for their collection of primitive machinery. Now, what is all this tutti-frutti about an architect?
Well, Doctor himself here's planning a little remodeling, and he wants some advice from an architect. I know it's a little out of character for him to take advice, but I think it should be encouraged.
I don't have to take it just because I asked for it, you know.
Now we're back in character, aren't we? Have you got an architect coming out, buzzard head? Or did they all have time to look up your credit rating?
Well, Mayor Latrivia is sending one out, Doctor.
And by the way, Bone Bender, you've been awfully quiet lately about Fifi Tremaine. What's cooking on the front burner, Romeo? Or has Latrivia given you the bum's rush?
My boy, I am happy to report that Miss Tremaine is well and happy, beautiful and available, and is having dinner with me tonight at a small rendezvous with bright waiters and dim lights.
Oh. And is the mayor still in the picture, Doctor, or has medicine made politics take a back seat?
Don't worry, Molly. Latrivia will be in there pitching till Fifi elopes with some guy these two saps never heard her mention. I know exactly.
My goodness, I wonder who that could be.
You think that could be the architect?
Yeah, I suppose it might.
Awful quick for him to get here.
Oh, I don't know.
Would it be silly of me to suggest that you open the door and find out? Or am I just a crude old man?
Not a bad idea, crude old man. Come in.
How do you do? I'm Stanford Whittington Franlis III, the architect.
How do you do, I'm sure. This is my husband, Mr. McGee, and this is Dr. Gamble.
Hi, Bud.
How do you do, Mr. Franlis?
Madam, Mr. McGee, doctor. Oh, Mayor Latrivia was an old classmate of mine at college.
Oh, yes, he and his 32 brothers.
I beg your pardon?
Large family. Greeks.
Oh. Really, I never suspected. May I ask what your problem is, Mr. McGee?
You betcha, Bud. But first, I'd like to know a little about your qualifications. I'm not taking advice from just any old barn builder, you know.
A reasonable attitude, I'm sure. Don't you think so, Mr. Franlis?
Why, Yes, well, I'm not really accustomed to having my credentials questioned.
Oh, well, just tell him where you were born and educated and went to school and what buildings have you built and a few simple facts like that.
Just once over light, Bud.
Oh, well, very well. Educated at Groton, Harvard, École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, various colleges in Rome, England, Vienna, and the Orient. Scholarships in 7 universities, degrees from 6. Designed the police station Upper Crenshaw, Whittington, Hants, Devonshire. The Opera Building in Hackenachenstein, Bavaria. The Academy of Music in Madrid, innumerable private dwellings and 5 office buildings in Egypt, Bolivia, Surabaya, Vladivostok, and a Chinese laundry in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
One more test question, Bud. If you're an architect, you know what a flint is?
Certainly. You know, I use it in the class song, which I wrote for the Academy of Architecture in Vienna.
What was the name of the song?
Someday My Plinth Will Come.
Oh.
You have a very impressive record, Mr. Franlis. Why don't you tell him what you want, McGee?
You want the blueprint spread out again, dearie?
No, thanks. I can show him better. Come on out in the kitchen, Bud.
Certainly.
May I come, too? I wouldn't miss this for all the beef in Texas.
Why, certainly, Doctor. Come on along.
Now then, Bud, you see them wall cabinets up there?
Yes, I do.
I'm putting some new doors on them. And what I want to know from you is, which would look better, glass knobs or wooden knobs?
May I ask one question?
What is it, Mr. Franlis?
Does Mayor Latrivia wear a bulletproof vest?
I was reading one of those books on olden times the other day. You know the sort of thing, all about days of old when knights were bold and wore a coat of shining armor. Well, I give you 2 guesses what popped into my mind. That's right, Johnson's self-polishing glow coat, that modern coat of shining armor that protects your kitchen floor. Regular glow coat care makes your linoleum last years longer. It's easy to apply, there's no rubbing or buffing. Yet in 20 minutes, glow coat dries to a bright wax shield that guards every inch of your floor. With Johnson's Glow Coat, when you spill something or when the children track in dirt, you no longer have to perform a major cleaning operation. You simply wipe the smooth waxed surface with a damp cloth, and right away your floor is clean and nice as ever. Coat of shining armor? Yes, I think that description fits Johnson's self-polishing Glow Coat rather well. Try it yourself and see.
Oh, McGee, did you read in the paper where this week is Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy's 10th anniversary on the air?
Yes, and they're both to be congratulated. I hope they stay on the air another 10 years, and I hope we'll still be here to congratulate them again.
My goodness. You know, it must take a lot of fast thinking to be a ventriloquist.
Yeah.
To change your voice so fast and all.
Oh, Bergen's a quick thinker, all right. In fact, I've heard it said that with his hat off, he's got one of the coolest heads in radio. Good night.
Good night, all.
This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for the makers of Johnson's Wax Products for Home and Industry, inviting you to be with us again next Tuesday night. Good night.
And I'm sure you recognize Jim Backus there at the end as the architect. January 21st, 1954, Fibber McGee and Molly here on Classic Radio Theater. Now let's move to January 21st, 1954, and a quarter-hour episode of...
The Fibber McGee and Molly Show. Every weekday at this time, NBC brings you Fibber McGee and Molly transcribed. The show is written by Phil Leslie and Ralph Goodman and directed by Max Hutton. Fibber and Molly will be with you in a minute. Here's a pretty shocking fact. Hundreds of millions of people behind the Iron Curtain are victims of vicious lies about the United States. Yes, communism continues to take the initiative in the propaganda war. We must not only stop the spread of communist influence among peoples that are still free, but we must also fight the tyranny of those it has already enslaved. The Crusade for Freedom, created by General Lucius D. Clay, offers each of us as individuals the opportunity to strike a blow for freedom. This blow can be struck through Radio Free Europe, an independent citizen-sponsored organization which broadcasts the message of democracy through the Iron Curtain every day. Hour after hour, it brings hope and truth to enslaved peoples, spiking lies and undermining the influence of red rulers. Radio Free Europe is a partnership of Americans and exiles of enslaved countries who broadcast to their compatriots in their own idiom. Join the crusade by contributing your truth dollar. Send your contribution to Crusade for Freedom, care of your local postmaster. Reams of copy have been written, mostly by men, about the joys and delights of a good cigar. Women mostly remain unimpressed, like the lady at 79 Wistful Vista, whose husband we hear from now.
Ah, just look at that, Molly. Feast your eyes on it. Ain't that a beautiful cigar?
What's beautiful about it?
Well, the color, for one thing. Sort of combines the soft, gleaming beauty of old walnut with the gentle overtones of a Florida tan.
Oh, my.
And the fragrance. Oh, is this going to be fragrant?
Your cigars always are.
You never smelled an aroma like the aroma from this cigar, baby. It's not often I can clamp my claws on a gorgeous hunk of Havana like this. 50 cents a copy is a little rich for old Dad's blood.
50 cents?
50 cents.
Who on earth was foolish enough to spend 50 cents on that potential pile of ashes and give it away after he got it?
Mr. LaBelle, the manager of the furniture store's wife, just had a baby. So LaBelle's handing out the smokes.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Girl. Colorado Clara. Finest cigar I ever bit.
I don't mean the cigar, I mean the baby.
Oh, I don't know. I forgot to ask. Hey, you got a match?
Right beside you on the coffee table.
Oh.
Although it doesn't seem right to light such a fabulous cigar with just an ordinary match.
Oh, don't.
Why don't you hold it out the window and wait for lightning to strike it?
Too uncertain. Well, here we go. This is truly delightful, my dear.
Oh,
Stick around and feast your nose on what a good cigar ought to smell like. Pull up a chair.
If it wasn't so cold, I'd pull up a window. The last time you smoked a gift cigar, the draperies faded, the goldfish died. Oh, I better move that poor parakeet.
It ain't often a guy gives me a heater like this one.
Come on, Bertie, we'll put you in the kitchen. Don't you worry, you'll get used to these things. When I first married him, he smoked a pipe.
There's nothing like the stench of a good cigar. Just look at the texture of that smoke, Molly. That's real quality.
My goodness, if it makes you that happy just to look at the smoke, why don't you... Come in.
Afternoon, Molly. Hello, McGee.
Hello, Dr. Gamble. Come in.
Well, bless my soul if it isn't the father of modern medicine, Dr. George Gamble, the inventor of the Gamble method for stretching a simple tummy ache into an appendectomy. Watch the tree there.
Oh.
Are you ever going to take that... Pardon me, but is somebody cremating an old toupee around here?
That's McGee's cigar, Doctor.
He knows.
What brand of rhubarb is that, Furnace Face?
What do you mean, rhubarb? This is a genuine 50-cent Colorado Clara Corona.
Sure you don't mean kimono? Smells like a scorched bathrobe.
Here, here.
I wouldn't worry about it, though, Molly. I have a hunch he'll soon get tired of having hot ashes fall on his sweater and throw that thing away.
Don't you worry about the ashes on this cigar, Lumpy. This is the kind of a stogie that I can smoke clear down to my back teeth without the ashes falling off in it.
Oh.
Don't you know the better the cigar, the longer the ashes will hold onto it?
Any 10-year-old corn silk smoker knows that, certainly.
Then what do you want to make such stupid cracks for?
Oh.
I'll bet you $20 I can smoke the ashes 8 inches long on this cigar before they fall off.
That'd be a neat trick, all right. The cigar wasn't over 6 inches long to start with.
Yeah, it's an even neater trick when you consider that little Noisy hasn't seen $20 in 40 years.
Oh, is that... I'll bet you $5 then. $5 I can smoke the cigar till the ashes are at least 3 inches long without falling off.
You made a bet, Pigeon. Let's see your $5.
Show him $5, Molly.
Huh.
Well, here goes your next month's allowance, dearie. Don't come begging me for 50 cents to go see Roy Rogers.
All right, Fatso, it's a bet. $5. 3 inches of ashes.
You hold our bets, Molly.
Right, Doctor.
I'll drop by later and pick up the money.
We'll see who picks up what money. This will be the pleasantest bet I ever won.
Yeah, I'll see you later, Sonny. And don't let anything jar those ashes loose.
Why, that rat. That dirty double-crosser. Did you hear him slam that door? Trying to make me jump and knock these ashes off. I'll show him who knows a good cigar when it's given to me, and I'll win that bet.
There's more fun with the McGees shortly. There's an expression that goes, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today. And that's a very good expression to keep in mind now that income tax time is coming along. This year, there are approximately 58 million Americans who will be required to file federal income tax returns with the Bureau of Internal Revenue. First of all, there may be some doubt in your mind as to whether you file an income tax return or not. Well, everyone, regardless of age, who had an income of $600 or more during the past year is required by law to file an income tax return before March the 15th. Here are a couple of other points that may help you. Be sure your return is complete and accurate, and be sure you sign it. If it's a joint return, be sure the taxpayer and his wife both sign their names. And most important of all, be sure to file your income tax return early. If you're entitled to a refund, you'll receive it a lot sooner. Remember, don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today, especially you taxpayers.
Ah, what a cigar. Look at them ashes. Must be a full inch long already. Let me see, 1 inch out of 3, that's a third. A third of $5 is 3 and 5 and 2 to carry. That's 2 and 3 goes 5, 2 and 3. Shucks, I should have made the bet for $6. Oh, you back, Molly?
Yes, I was just over at Mabel Toops's, dearie. I tried to hurry back, but you know how Mabel talks. Oh, I see you moved over to the Davenport.
Yep, took me 15 minutes to get from that chair over here, but I made it. You see, lying on my back like this, with the cigar straight up, the ashes are perpendicular. The pull of gravity is at right angles to the tensile strength, and thus permitting the ashes not to fall.
Very scientific.
Mm-hmm.
I brought in the afternoon paper. You want it?
I can't handle it right now. Afraid to take my eyes off these ashes. What's in the paper, anything?
Not much. It says Citizen X will be seen on the downtown streets again tomorrow, and a large crowd is expected.
Grocery boy!
Doggone it, old-timer. Can't you come in here more quiet? You have to slam the door like that? You almost knocked the ashes off of this cigar.
Oh, you want them ashes knocked off, Johnny? Here, let me have it. I'll knock them in the fireplace.
No, don't. Get away from me.
He can knock them off, Mr. Oldtimer.
Oh, that silly daughter. Big, strong boy like him can't even knock the ashes off a cigar? All you gotta
Get
do
away
is...
from me, Dad Rabbit. These ashes are worth $5.
$5? That little bit of ashes? $5?
That's right, Mr. Oldtimer. As soon as the ashes on that cigar get 3 inches long, Dr. Gamble will pay him $5 because...
Kids, you've just made me a rich man.
What?
If Doc Gamble's paying $5 for a little tablespoonful of ashes like that, I'm rich.
What do you mean?
I got a basement full of them. Been meaning to take them out for years, but I've got them.
Yes, but now wait, you see...
I'm rich, kid.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Oh, I can't talk now, Johnny. I'm going to run back to the grocery store, quit my job, kick the manager, and set fire to that danged truck.
Now, wait.
Then I'll start delivering ashes to Doc Gamble at $5 a spoonful, and yippee! I'm rich! Bonanza!
No, wait.
The stupid of all the stupid...
The ashes fall off?
No. My gosh, every time that door slams, the house shakes like it was built on a plate of custard. Lock that door, will you? Keep people out of here.
You want me to pull down the shades and hang a measles sign on the door? That ought to keep...
I just want a fair chance to win this bet, that's all. These ashes are delicate, Molly. Trucks going by, people slamming doors. Gee, what's that?
Oh, heavenly days, the fire trucks. It's a fire, McGee. It's somewhere close. Come on, let's go see.
Let me know if it's our garage. I don't dare get up. Tell them guys to drive quiet, will you? Ah, what a great cigar. This is the sweetest. Now watch it, Molly. Walk easy. You better tiptoe, Tootsie.
Yes, dearie. Is it all right if I exhale now? I've been holding my breath.
Yeah, that's okay. Where was the fire? Anything burned?
Mrs. Spradley's pork chops.
Oh.
She got on the phone, forgot they were cooking, and one of the neighbors saw the smoke and turned in the alarm. Luckily, the chops were insured.
Ah, just look at them clouds of sweet blue smoke, Molly. Just smell that gorgeous aroma.
I think I'll go smell Mrs. Spradley's pork chops. Frankly, I'll be glad...
Hey, I did it. Look, kiddo, I got it made. Call Doc Gamble, quick. Look at them ashes. 3 inches long.
Wonderful.
Ah, what a cigar. I told old wiseacre I'd smoke this cigar.
Come in.
But quietly.
I'd have been here sooner to collect my bet, McGee, but Well, for Pete's sake. Look at that.
Looks like you lose your bet, Doctor. He did it all right.
I'll say I did. Look at that long puss, Molly.
McGee, I didn't think it was possible.
No.
Pick up the marbles, Sonny. You win. And knock those ashes off before they fall on your face and smother you.
I'll knock 'em off when I get ready to, Fatso. And hereafter, don't tell me I don't know a good cigar when it's given to me.
Knock the ashes off now, dearie. They'll fall all over the divan.
I'll knock 'em off later. I'm enjoying the cigar.
Here, give me that butt. I'll knock 'em in the ashtray for you. And
No. Let go of that cigar, Doc. You don't do... Oh!
Heavenly days. Now you got them all over everything. You two. What's the matter, Doctor?
Look at that cigar, Molly. What's that sticking out of the end of it?
Looks like a hairpin.
Oh, well, what do you know? Who'd ever thought of finding a hairpin stuck in a cigar? A 50-cent cigar, too. My goodness, they ought to be more careful. Now, look out, Doc. Now, you get your hands off of me.
Look, you stuck a hairpin in that cigar to hold those ashes
That's just a gag, Doc. Look out now. Now, let me up now.
You double-crossing...
You see the two, you slammed the door. Look out now.
Why?
Don't do that. Who's on the phone, Molly?
Dr. Gamble. Says the old-timer just dumped a truckload of ashes in the doctor's yard and left a bill for $5 a spoonful. $80,000. Says, do you know anything about it?
What'd you tell him?
I laid the receiver down and told him I'd call you.
Well, you called me. Good night.
Good night, all.
NBC has brought you the Fibber McGee and Molly program, transcribed with Bill Thompson as the old-timer and Arthur Q. Bryan as Dr. Gamble. This is John Wald inviting you to be with us again tomorrow night for another visit with Fibber McGee and Molly.
You know, McGee's always up to something. January 21st, 1954, Fibber McGee and Molly here on Classic Radio Theater. Thanks for making us part of your day. Would you please note our website, classicradio.stream. There you can get our social media contact information. You can contact me just through an email form. You can also hear our shows on demand and learn more about building your own classic radio collection. And don't forget, if you miss a day on this station, you do not have to miss a single show. Just search through iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. All you have to do is search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That is Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. My name is essential to make sure you get the right podcast, don't you know? And please thank this station and support their advertisers. Their kindness and courtesy allows us to be here on your favorite station. And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.